Hi everyone, I'm going to do my reflection on the scriptures now, and I'm not focusing on the memorial readings for Saint Alphonsus Liguori. It's a redemptorist saint. You can focus on those if you want. He's very important in our tradition in the church, and he's an Italian saint, and he preached in all the rural areas. But I'm focusing today on the readings for ordinary people, like not the memorial readings, for the feria, they call them. And it's basically looking at how in the readings Jeremiah is telling the people, you are free, you can do whatever you want with me. But if you kill me, that blood is going to be on you and on your children. And those same words come back in a different way later on when we see Jesus on his way to the crucifixion with the women, where he's telling the women, don't weep for me, but weep for your children, because the blood is going to be on us, on the people. So this ties into the psalm and the gospel, because the psalm is saying that the Lord hears the cry of the poor. And we cry to him to save us from the slowly sinking world, the world that is crying out for solutions that we cannot find. Water sources are drying up, there are fires all over, countries seem to be at war internally, and so there's this desire for peace. And even in the gospel, we see this beheading of St. John. So why did he behead him? Why did they behead him? Because he was credible. He was credible, and he was a threat to them, to their way of doing things and their way of living. And so the plot that they carry out, it's a plot that's done in front of everybody, and to save face, because they're carrying out this plot. They know they're not credible. They know that their kingdom is already being destroyed, and it's being destroyed by people who are credible, people who are visible, people who they've had to take and put in prison, summon them. They know that their evil is being destroyed. The evil of sleeping with your brother's wife, or the evil of doing things that's leading to communities breaking down. They know it's already being destroyed and they can't stop it. So to save face, they behead St. John. And it ties into how we live our lives, because at the end, when our life is over, the titles, everything we've done, the money we've earned, everything else falls away. But it's that orientation towards the Lord. That's the only thing that remains. And that's why we go out, we take our gifts and talents out, we take the work that is available, we do whatever we can to build up that kingdom and to build up God's kingdom here on earth. And the disciples now of St. John, they have nowhere to go. They are leaderless. It's similar to when the Pope dies, or when, there's a gap, somebody dies, or political leader dies. There's nobody there. So it becomes like a headless chicken, like where do we go? What do we do? Because we are completely alone now. St. John is gone. So they go to Jesus, because it's his cousin, and it's also Jesus has his own ministry, and then they go to tell Jesus, because they don't want to be alone. They don't want to be in this place of desolation, this place of anxiety, and they're carrying their grief and they're taking it to the Lord. And so too with us, when things come against us, we go to the Lord. You can go to people, yes, but people have their own interests, they have their own plans, they have their own desires. So the best thing to do is to go to the Lord, to take it into our prayer, to take it into sitting with the Lord. And it doesn't mean that we don't try to use our gifts and talents in the world. It doesn't mean that we don't do what Jeremiah did and fight for our lives. Of course we do, but we go to the Lord. And in St. Ignatius' way of thinking, that's the first thing. It's the orientation of always coming back to Jesus, always coming back to our Lord. And so for those of you who are grieving, those of you who are facing losses, maybe it's loss of a job or maybe it's some other loss, that's the orientation. We take that back to the Lord. And then from there we rebuild ourselves, we rebuild our lives, we rebuild our dreams. Because in every life there is sorrow, and in every life there's the struggle for survival. And everybody fights for life. We fight for our lives, we fight to live, we fight to have what we need. And that peace that comes from our prayer. It comes from taking things to the Lord, asking Him for solutions, asking Him to help us. Because if we are still here on this planet and we are still living and breathing, God still has some work for us to do. So that's what I wanted to focus on for today, not so much focusing on what was done to St. John, but focusing on how strong his faith was, that they felt threatened by him, that they had to arrest him and put him in a prison and then actually plot to have him killed. That's how strong of a leader he was. That's how strong his faith was. And that's how strong his followers were. And so too for us, we might be persecuted, we might be facing very hard circumstances, but we are strong in the Lord, and we are strong in our faith. And though we may be small in number, we are huge in our faith. And even if we're going through difficulties, we are still oriented towards the Lord. And that is what sustains us. That's what helps us to overcome the challenges of life, whatever those challenges of life are. Because we know that God is with us in everything that we are doing. And God sees everything. Whether there's security cameras or not, God sees everything.